Hey everybody, welcome back to the Comic Wall. It's your girl, the Outcast Angel, and today let's talk about issue 12 of Gasolina. Holy crap, this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. It is one of my absolute favorites out of this whole series because it's just so beautiful. And I mean, of course you guys are going to see it, but just a huge mysterious temple shrouded in darkness with blood coming down, like pouring down the steps into a river at the bottom. It's just that's a fiesta as it's subtitled, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, we start off with back with Amalia, who was kind of torturing and questioning this prisoner that they had taken, well, prisoner. And at the end of issue 11, we saw that there were some men coming up behind her holding Gike hostage and possibly ready to kill her. But she seemed to know. And then she kind of lays out this prisoner's plan in front of him and saying, "So you bribed them to steal my nephew, kill me with teeth, with all your stupid gold teeth." And at this point, the prisoner kind of seems a little like, oh, damn it, you know. And so she's like, "These men hate me, can't stand me for reasons I understand and don't, but they fucking hate you. Um, Money doesn't raise the dead. It doesn't balance out all the lives that have been taken, and death can only be countered with death." And so she ends up leaving. She ends up leading Kike outside the room or the house that they're keeping him in, and they and she's talking to the men who are ready to basically kill this man because of all the wrong that he's done to them. But um one of the men with the cowboy hat, seems to have a bit of a hard time with this. He doesn't. Um, I don't know. He seems maybe a little squeamish about it. But then, the other man is pretty ready to get started, you know. But this man with the hat doesn't want to do it with his own hands. He'd rather have a gun. And um, when Kike's led outside, he's like, "Wait, Amalia, don't leave me." Um, the other man takes matters into his own hands and ends up just stabbing the prisoner in the neck repeatedly over and over with a knife. And when he's done, he's just standing over him and says, "Fucking puta," which is basically "fucking bitch." And the man with the hat seems to have a hard time with this. He's kind of crying, to himself, like covering his mouth and everything. Um, and so yeah, that was just a little bit of a weird sequence, to be honest. Next, we see Randy with these other two who were, who survived the ambush in the small village they were in, and they're sitting in front of, I forgot his name, but Giovanni. They're sitting in front of Giovanni, who says, like, "You thought you'd come to a town protected by Los Queridos and what, save them? You didn't save nada. If you want to go home alive, all you need to do is one snort, one sniff from this." And he's holding up basically some kind of dispenser for, I assume, cocaine, because I don't know much about drugs. So sorry about that. Anyway, um, Randy says something hilarious. He's like, "You want to party? Like, I got anything else to prove to you?" And Giovanni continues to say, "These devil worshipping motherfuckers put demons in whores to assassinate El Dorado." He said, "This is the only way to know who is a demon and who is just a whore." So the middleman ends up taking a snort, and he's fine. But then the other guy who was in charge of the group to protect this village, he really doesn't want to. And so Giovanni ends up putting a gun to his head, saying, like, when Randy asks, if we do this, you'll let us go. That's how it's going, right? And he says, yes, if you pass. But when he puts the gun to this man's head, his head explodes. Not from a gunshot, but from all these creatures that La Querida has been, letting loose throughout the um, throughout the series, really. And Giovanni freaks out, and this reminded me a lot of the Thing, the original one from John Carpenter, when they had everyone tied up to the chairs. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the Thing, which is such an old movie, they test everyone's blood and with by poking it with a hot, I guess, iron, well, copper wire, really, and whichever blood sample reacted the way this guy reacted, it showed that it was them. And it just reminded me so much of that. It was just absolutely beautiful, and not to mention the artwork in this page is just phenomenal. And so in the confusion, Randy ends up picking up the cocaine vial and takes a snort, and that's when Giovanni, knows he's cool, and um, and Giovanni's like, "You are still one crazy, party man, you know." And Randy's like, "Don't fuck with me, just don't right now." And Giovanni's like, "Fuck with you? I wanna be you. You've seen this bruja shit before." And he's actually taking a picture of the carnage that's been left behind. It's just brutal. Wait a minute. I'm a little confused here. Um, Wait. Oh, I I messed up. So turns out, it wasn't the leader of the group that had changed. It was the middleman who had taken the first snort. He was the one who actually uh, reacted, and changed into that monster. It was just that's intense. But the other guy ended up getting killed in the crossfires, so that kind of sucks. Anyway, um, we leave them. No, no, no. We're taken back to the house where Randy found all those creatures, well, just creatures in the glass vials, in the basement, and they're all packing them up into the back of these vans, these SUVs, and that's really it. They're just doing nothing. What is it? They're taking it back to El Dorado, I think. In other words, and so Giovanni kind of just leaves him, saying, "Go back to your pueblo or wherever you're resting your head. Tell them everything that happened, and let them know they are under El Dorado's protection now." Excuse me, ugh, hiccups. And so, Randy's kind of just left there to get back home, wherever they're calling home. And we cut back to Amalia, who's walking out of this house, after, well, all the carnage of that prisoner, and she's a little messed up. Like, she's all bloody from, obviously not her blood, but she seems pretty disturbed. And we see Luisa out here holding Gike, asking her if she's all right. Obviously, she's not, so she brings her in for a hug, and that's when Graciela comes in, wanting Amalia, and then Amalia gets down to her level, saying, "You know who I am, right? Who I really am?" And she's like, "See, you're my mother." And Amalia says, "You can call me that now if you want to. Um, Only if you want to. I'm just saying, I want to be your mom again if you want me to." And we see Luis, no, we see Graciela smile and hug her mom, and we see Luisa kind of tearing up, obviously happy about this. But then something weird happens. The pink car that belonged to the prisoner kind of cracks open, and then all these snakes and bugs and weevils start crawling out of it. I don't know if it's an actual, um, if it's actually happening, or if it's just kind of, like setting the scene, just kind of uh, whatever, you know. And so the last scene in this issue, we see this pile of bodies with all these weird with all the weird looking creatures crawling all over them, and this bulldozer kind of just pushing them out of the way. Like that in itself is already pretty crazy. And then we see this new character, this new uh, scruffy looking guy saying, in Florida he hasn't if Florida hasn't checked in by now, he's dead. And if he's dead, he's at least delivered La Querida her bounty. um, Mendelssohn's on standby for cleanup. He can kill anyone left as long as he brings me the boy. Yes, even the woman. And the last thing we see is this temple being excavated out of the ground. Well, obviously in Mexico, there's a lot of temples and pyramids. That's what I meant to say in Mexico. But this looks new. If you, well, newly discovered rather. And then we see someone asking how soon till we can get inside. Someone else responds, tomorrow morning, jefe. And the man, or the boss rather, says, soon she will bless us. She will bless us all. What's going on now? Like, the presentation of a pyramid like that really throws me off, especially like if y'all have ever read Nailbiter, when they presented a pyramid like that, it was out of place. But a story like this kind of makes sense, but it's still a little like, what's going on, you know? And so that's the end of this issue. And I, of course, got another letter printed in this issue. So that's pretty cool to be able to keep talking with the Gasolina team. It's pretty awesome. And so I say, hey, Gasolina team, I swear to God, I thought it was Amalia who was pregnant. Those two looked way too similar. And with the time jump, I was confused as to how far along she'd be. And then Sean says, I like that we got to gussy Mal up a bit. So much so it confused you. Sorry? I like that too. She was just so beautiful. Anyway, I continue. Also, that little room of horrors was pretty intense. Will we get more of an explanation as to what's in those jars? Or is it just for aesthetics? And then Arielle, the editor of this series, responds with, I hope this explanation sufficed. I can't wait to see how this arc finishes. See you next issue. And Arielle finishes saying, and I hope this arc lived up to your expectations. Kind of a real humdinger, I think, which should tell you just how crazy arc 3 is going to be. And so, yeah, that's the end of this video and the end of this issue. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked it. And if you did, drop a like, show the love, hit that subscribe button to get more of my videos, ring the bell to get notifications on when I post new videos, so that way you guys stay updated and don't miss out. And if you guys have any predictions or, theories as to where this series is going to go, especially in Arc 3, throw them down in the comments. I'm always open to talk about them. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.